It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Hello and welcome on into another edition of The Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. I am your host, Cam Stuart. Zach Burke is behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week live on YouTube, which we are all those 5 days at noon Eastern time, and then available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. Today, we're talking about the crazy rumors, A.J. Brown to the Patriots, why it would make a ton of sense, and why it wouldn't make a ton of sense. We'll go through all of that. We will also have Nick Diamond of Nick Diamond Media breaking down who the Red Sox should be looking at in this free agency period, specifically for that second starting pitcher role. He's going to go through some of the candidates and maybe a wacky one out there that not a lot of people are talking about, and which of the Red Sox two big-time pitching prospects, Peyton Tolley and Connolly Early, could be out the door, and why. We'll also talk about the Bruins' first big test of the season at 3-1-0 in the second week of the year. They are going to Vegas tonight to take on the Golden Knights, and I'm going to tell you why the Golden Knights are the exact antithesis of everything the Bruins are right now, and why they could take some notes and learn how to run a real Stanley Cup contending franchise in the year 2025. All that and more coming up on this episode of The Cam Show. But of course, we start where we start, and you guys tuned in because the thumbnail talks about the A.J. Brown trade and that possibility for the New England Patriots. And it's very possible, okay? And now these rumors are going to start to heat up. We're 2.5 weeks away from that NFL trade deadline, and the players who are becoming available are becoming more and more apparent, right? They're mostly coming from bad teams, New Orleans. Not a lot coming from Super Bowl contending teams, let alone the defending Super Bowl champs. And yet again, A.J. Brown is apparently on the market. He's not that happy. He's looking for a place where he can get a little bit more shine. And once again, the rumors turn to the New England Patriots. Does it make sense? Of course it makes sense. It almost makes too much sense, actually, for a couple of reasons. First off, for whatever it's worth, for professional football players who make hundreds of millions of dollars over their careers, in the case of A.J. Brown, he was, at least, a Patriots fan Remember that story, SI, a couple years ago? That's what people keep attaching to. Like, he's a Patriots fan. He loved Tom Brady. He cried his eyes out when he wasn't drafted by the Patriots in 2019. That's what he told SI. Here's your chance. Here is your chance. AJ, come play for your childhood team in Starkville, Mississippi. America's team, of course, the New England Patriots. Now is your chance to do that. And what would be interesting is it would be a reunion with the guy that actually did draft him as he was wiping his tears away, not being picked by the Patriots, because it would be a reunion with Mike Vrabel, the guy who coached him his first 3 seasons in the NFL with the Tennessee Titans and coached him when A.J. Brown really broke out in Tennessee. Like, this is where the dude became an absolute star, like Pro Bowl, 8 touchdowns a year is what he averaged, a couple 1,000-yard seasons. He became one of the most feared receivers in the league at a very young age when he was playing for Mike Vrabel. Then he gets the big money with Philadelphia. He's got the success there, and now he's potentially looking somewhere else. But you look at what Vrabel did with him in Tennessee. Man, this was with Ryan Tannehill. Like, I think that isn't talked about enough when it comes to Mike Vrabel's time with the Titans. Like, A.J. Brown broke out with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. And look, Tannehill, perfectly serviceable NFL quarterback, right? Fine. Nothing special, nothing to write home about, but a good quarterback who by the time he got to play for Mike Vrabel wasn't turning the ball over. You've also seen what A.J. Brown has done with Jalen Hurts, who overall is a better overall quarterback than Drake May. And he's got the second place MVP finish to show for it and a Super Bowl trophy. But if we're talking about a deep threat like A.J. Brown in the year 2025, let's be totally honest with ourselves. Who is more likely to unleash deep threat A.J. Brown? Jalen Hurts or this new and improved second-year jump Drake May? Like, seriously, imagine what Drake May could do with a guy like A.J. Brown open down the field. You saw what he did with Pop Douglas on Sunday, threw 2 deep ball touchdowns to him. Of course, only one of them counted for some reason. But this would be next level. Drake May to A.J. Brown would feed families. Like, obviously, we love what Stephon Diggs has given them so far, mainly in that Buffalo game. And I think he is still like a pretty good wide receiver 1 for what this offense is right now. But you add A.J. Brown to that, and it's Brown and Diggs, that takes this offense to a completely different level. I mean, we're talking duck boat parades kind of stuff. Evil Empire, America's most hated team again. It would all be coming together with a blockbuster trade like this. And by the way, the Patriots still have the most cap space in the league. They can take on a contract. Dallas is well behind in second. They are comfortably, the Patriots are comfortably in first place for the most cap space in the NFL. And there is a need at receiver. Like, this offense has gotten better. Love what Josh McDaniels is doing. But let's not pretend like this is suddenly an elite receiver room. Okay, Stephon Diggs, good season so far. Outside of that Buffalo game, solid season so far, right? Pop Douglas, I still, even after that game in New Orleans, he's still not giving you a lot overall for this season. Kayshon Boutte is a nice 3rd or 4th receiver who is your 2nd receiver right now. A trade for A.J. Brown completely changes the way we see the Patriots this year. They're all of a sudden not a fluky first in the AFC East kind of team. They're not just a playoff hopeful because half of their division really, really sucks. Half of their division are arguably the 2 worst teams in the AFC outside of Cleveland. 2 of the 3 worst teams in the AFC, I guess is how you would say that. A.J. Brown being on this team changes everything. Everything. It's definitely possible. There's definitely a world where the Patriots make that trade. But again, it almost makes too much sense. Some things are too good to be true. A.J. Brown is worried about not getting the ball enough, right, as the 2nd leading receiver for the Eagles. Stephon Diggs is already your number 1 guy. And I'm not saying you can't supplant him or whatever, but these are 2 guys who want the ball a lot. If you bring in A.J. Brown, that is really going to test the mettle of Stephon Diggs as to whether he just wants to win or not. This guy came in, signed a big money deal before the season, and he was going to come in to be wide receiver 1 for Drake May. You bring A.J. Brown into that fold, yeah, there's probably some friction. Like that's just how receivers are. That just is how it is. There are some other problems too, because Drake May needs another playmaker. I'm not saying that's not the case. You do need another guy who can get open, make big plays, yak for Drake May. That said, I don't think it's the biggest need of your offense. It's like third, fourth, if we're being honest, which again is a testament to how good Drake May is that he's covering up that many. But look, nobody's really giving up an offensive lineman at the deadline. Not a good one anyway. Not a tackle anyway, a right tackle. But you still can't run the ball. You've got a running back in Ramondre Stevenson that loves putting the ball on the ground as much as he loves putting Robert Kraft's money in his pocket. Like it's an epidemic, and you still can't run the ball. And you're going to need that late in the season. I don't know if you've heard that before, but when the weather gets cold and the games get more important and you need to shorten the game, the Patriots can't really do that right now. Okay? So maybe the answer to improving this offense in 2025 in the short term isn't giving Drake May another deep threat, but maybe it's giving him some balance on offense. That Miami game was an anomaly, but they were so balanced. They looked so good offensively. So maybe you need to look at running back. I think getting Breece Hall from the Jets would be dreamland, but it's going to be very expensive, if not impossible. The Jets definitely don't want to trade with you. They definitely don't want that to happen. So maybe Breece Hall's out. What about Alvin Kamara? Alvin Kamara's still out there. We had Bob Rose of the Saints Wire on last week previewing that game, and he was saying, yeah, it's likely that he's going to be in these trade rumors, Alvin Kamara, but he can still play. Bob was adamant about that. He is still a real big threat in the passing game as well. He could be an every down kind of back. With Antonio Gibson out for the year, that's kind of a perfect he and Ramondre Stevenson platooning, and then some Travion Henderson, because as much as I would love Travion to really be taking a lion's share of the snaps, Mike Vrabel clearly is not going to do that this year, and it's evidenced by what he did in Tennessee for a long time. And for a Josh McDaniels offense, a guy like Alvin Kamara can open up a ton, in a different way than A.J. Brown, but maybe just as much as A.J. Brown would. And is more likely a trade for Alvin Kamara than for A.J. Brown. But a lot of teams are going to be interested in Kamara. The Chiefs are now coming in as a team that's very interested. But that's what the trade deadline is. The other one I would look at, if you do want to look at receiver, is let's keep it in New Orleans. Chris Olave just kind of carved you up a little bit. What do you have, 98 yards in that game coming from Spencer Rattler. Chris Olave was open all day for the Saints against the Patriots. Is that not a guy that impressed you? Is that not a guy you would take at this point? Is he A.J. Brown? No, but he's not that far off, Chris Olave. He's not that far off. But looking back at the Brown trade, on the other side of this, not the Patriots side of this, why are the Eagles doing this? It feels like the Boston Sports Talk radio callers who are saying, yeah, why don't you just go in and trade for this guy? Well, what are you going to give up? I don't know. Okay, then why would they do it? Well, A.J. Brown's unhappy. Sure. And they can get a lot for him. But these are the defending champs we're talking about here. When we talk about an NFL trade deadline or any sports trade deadline, you got to think about whether this team is going all in right now, whether they're still in their championship window. No sport is that more important than the NFL. The not-for-long league, the parity league. You think the Eagles are still in their Super Bowl window? I think so. They just won the damn thing. They just won it. They are in win now mode, 1,000%. And what has been their biggest problem this year? An up and down offense. Their offense has been a big issue. A.J. Brown is their second leading receiver, and he only has 25 catches through 6 games. Devontae Smith only is 29. Like with the way they're going, they can't give up on A.J. Brown. No matter how pissed off he is, where are you going to go? Who's going to be your other receiver in there? Who is going to be the complement to Devontae Smith? It's a great question. And I don't think the Eagles are willing to try to answer that this year. I don't think so. So as much as it would be fun for the Patriots and it would elevate the Patriots and it would be good for Vrabel and Drake May and Josh McDaniels and all these guys, why are the Eagles doing it? I think it's just as likely for A.J. Brown to be traded. I think it's more likely for A.J. Brown to not be traded at all than he is to be traded to the Patriots. And the Patriots are not the only team that are going to want to be in on him. So in summation, I would love it. I'm not turning down an A.J. Brown trade. I'd even obviously get rid of a first-round pick is what you probably have to do. Even in this still somewhat rebuild, I think it's better for Mike Vrabel to have veteran players like this to bring along Drake May than it is for trusting him to rebuild a team through the draft, which he was very hit or miss with in his time with the Titans. So yeah, I would love to have A.J. Brown on this team. Who wouldn't? But are the Eagles really going to give up on him in the middle of this season when their championship window is still very much open and it's 6 games in and they're sputtering? What are they, 3-3? They're fine. They're a fine team. The Eagles are. And getting rid of A.J. Brown is not going to fix their problems no matter what kind of haul you get back. Now, if you're the Patriots and you want to look at some of those guys in New Orleans, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, I think either one of those would absolutely fill a big role for you in this offense going forward. This team has some holes they need to fix, but if you get a more balanced offense out there that's capable of some big plays that Drake May can continue to put up 28 points a game or whatever it needs to be, then yeah, you are talking about a playoff team. And we're finally in a position. I know Patriots fans have thought they've been in a position with the rumors that have come up before the trade deadline in years past, but they're finally in a position to go in and buy at the trade deadline, to add at the trade deadline, to make this team better for the short term. Because 4 weeks ago, we were talking about, oh, here we go again. Hopefully they'll win 6 games instead of 4. And now they're sitting atop the AFC East, and they've got the easiest schedule in football. There's a time for the Patriots to invest, and it might just be right now. But is A.J. Brown the answer? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Would you take A.J. Brown? Would he be a hindrance to this team because of the attitude problem? And would the Eagles even think about giving up on A.J. Brown? Let me know in the comment section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you 5 days a week live on YouTube and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. I'm your host, Cam Stuart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air every weekday as your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. So while you guys are here on YouTube, definitely check out the other videos we got going out. A lot of Patriots talk this week. We'll have even more preview of that Titans game tomorrow. A lot of Bruins, a lot of Red Sox, which is where we are going next. It's going to be all kinds of Patriots stuff this winter, but all kinds of Red Sox offseason rumors and moves. It's supposed to be a big winter for this team. So we brought in Nick Diamond of Nick Diamond Media to talk about where they could go in terms of that number 2 starter behind Garrett Crochet. We'll have Nick on after this short break on The Cam Show.
Shades is your trusted partner in stage lighting, offering a wide range of high-quality, innovative products since 2015. With designs that cater to all needs, fast delivery, and affordable prices, we provide exceptional customer service to ensure your satisfaction. With warehouses across the globe and sales in over 100 countries, Sheds is quickly becoming one of the most recognized names in the stage lighting industry. Visit shehds.com today to discover top-tier stage lighting solutions and become part of our global network.
Introducing Muck-Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. Developed by our mad developer Alex and tested by riders, our products are made by riders for riders. Discover more at us.muc-off.com, where we break the mold to bring you the best in bike care.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels, our rebounders improve accuracy, control, and technique in both sports. Built with premium materials for durability and ease of use, they're ideal for training anywhere, anytime. Whether you're perfecting your soccer game or sharpening your lacrosse skills, Open Goal USA has you covered. Visit OpenGoalUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Chapellex is a full-category shapewear brand dedicated to providing women with exceptional comfort and support. We offer thoughtfully designed solutions that blend style with functionality, empowering women to feel confident and at ease every day. Chapellex is redefining what it means to have a perfect body. Our mission celebrates body positivity, embracing every shape and size, because true beauty lies in authenticity. Visit shapellx.com today and join a movement towards self-love, acceptance, and confidence.
Indulge in Blum's luxurious Lotus flower rolls. The green Lotus roll bursts with a caramel apple flavor, while the blue Lotus roll offers a smooth berry cream sensation. With our Crush for Flavor technology, enjoy an instant burst of natural, intense flavor anytime you desire. Elevate your experience with the finest creations nature has to offer. Explore the full collection at blumleaf.com. That's BLUUMLEAF.com. Blumleaf. Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner. At Terrapin Ridge Farms, they believe in the joy of effortless entertaining. Inspired by CEO Mary O'Donnell's mom and her legendary holiday parties, they've crafted a line of gourmet foods that turn any meal into a celebration. From savory jams to mustards, aiolis, and more, their products are made with love, bringing unforgettable flavors to your table. Whether it's a casual get-together or a special occasion, they make it easy to impress. Terrapin Ridge Farms, where great food and great memories come together. Visit them at terrapinridge.com. Terrapin Ridge.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Welcome back in on the Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network, talking Red Sox, hot stove, off season. No one better to bring in than Nick Diamond of Nick Diamond Media coming in, and he has got this covered from all angles throughout this off season. And really, Nick, what you've been working on is the dream off season for this Red Sox team, and we're going to mainly look at that from the pitching standpoint. Before we get into what that dream rotation is, would you say that number 2 starter at the minimum is the top priority for this Red Sox team?
I think it was until Alex Bregman opted out. I think Alex Bregman's number 1, number 2 starter is number 2 now. If they don't sign Alex Bregman, it was a wasted offseason, in my opinion. You got to have that leader. You got to have the third baseman. You have to have them. But
yeah, and I mean,
that's the pitcher.
And I mean, just optics wise from Bregman at this point too, right? Like you kind of drove away your franchise player who's playing third base, for better or for worse, because I can see both sides of that. But you did it because you had Bregman coming in, and you saved a bunch of money by trading Rafi Devers. That was really the only good thing, quote unquote, good thing that came from it. So to lose Bregman after 1 year would be terrible. And we kind of saw this pitching staff run out of steam a little bit at the end of the season. You know, obviously they were one of the top ERA teams in the American League the whole year. For 2 months in the summer, Brian Bayo was pitching as well as Garrett Crochet for like a 15-start stretch and didn't quite have it at the end of the season and into the postseason. No Lucas Giolito at all in the postseason. So when we talk about this number 2 starter, how much, before we get into that, how much more effective do you think Brian Bayo could be in a 3 spot where he's not the day after Garrett Crochet in a playoff series?
To be honest, I think what he posted this season, like a mid 3.33 ERA, is probably his peak. I think if we got a better defense, you might see that ERA come down a little bit. But I think what we got in the swing and miss, that's it for him. I don't think he's going to really grow much more. I think he's a good 3-4 pitcher. I would love to have him as a 3 or 4 guy, but you got to add above him. You can't go into the season with him as the number 2 and expect to be at the top of the division at the end of the year. It's not possible.
And this all gets born out of this great tweet you had this week about what this rotation can be. You want to pull it up here if you could read it here. But you look at what this could be, and it's a bit of a dream scenario. You do say that. It's a bit of a dream here, but there's no reason it can't be Crochet, Ryan, Ranger Suarez, Brian Bayo, and Connolly Early as your 1 through 5. And man, I am here for that. I am here for that 100%. So looking at Joe Ryan, who I think is at the top of most of Red Sox fans' lists. Obviously, it's a name we heard a lot around the trade deadline. We've already done a ton of research on the guy because of it, but that's going to need to be a trade. You know, a couple of these other guys, free agents, kind of a weird free agent market that we'll talk about in a second. But if it's Joe Ryan coming in a trade, what are you willing to part with that Minnesota will want to make a deal for?
Well, I think you have to try to convince them to take one of your outfielders in Jarren Duran or Wilyer Abreu. I'm not one to believe that the Twins actually want to add a 28-year-old outfielder in Jarren Duran or a 26-year-old outfielder in Wilyer Abreu. I don't think those are what they're looking for. I think they're probably looking for more younger pitching arms like Peyton Tolley or Connolly Early. So I think it's going to be, I think one of those guys has to go, Peyton Tolley or Connolly Early, whichever one the Red Sox are more comfortable with giving up. Connolly Early really impressed me down the stretch, but Peyton Tolley is more, he's got the higher ceiling, I think. And then I think one of your top prospects, I know none of them are actually prospects anymore, but Campbell or Meyer, one of them have to go for them to even consider it. If you put in Meyer, or I think right now they probably would want Meyer. I don't think the Twins are in a position to want to pay a prospect $10 million a year like Christian Campbell. I think they're probably going to go in the full rebuild mode. So I think it would have to be prospects in that area. So maybe you'd have to part with Marcelo Meyer or Christian Campbell. I don't think it'd have to be both of them. I don't think it would be as steep as the Garrett Crochet Crochet trade, but I do think the Twins, I think everyone knows the Twins are moving Joe Ryan. So I think you have some leverage there, but I think they're going to require one of those left-handed pitchers, and they're going to have to ask for one of they're no longer prospects, but prospects, big time prospects.
And looking at the pitching prospects in particular, and we heard these names thrown around, like you mentioned, at the trade deadline, and it's going to come down to Peyton Tolley, Connolly Early. And to be honest with you, Nick, I flip-flop back and forth on this, on who I would rather give up. I really don't want to give up either of them, but if Joe Ryan's in return, like that's kind of the price of doing business. So if you're in Craig Breslow's seat right now and that offer comes to you, which one would you rather part with?
That's a really hard question, but I would probably go Connolly Early. I just think the fastball on Peyton Tolley is so electric that if you can teach him at least one other pitch, he's going to at least have a ceiling or a floor of like a 4 or 5 starter. Connolly Early, I was really impressed with his swing and miss potential. He throws a lot of pitches, but he doesn't have anything overpowering. He's not the guy who's going to go out there and throw 97 and 99 like Peyton Tolley is going to be able to do consistently. I think there is some sort of concern that if Peyton Tolley doesn't develop an off-speed pitch or a secondary pitch, that he might be a reliever. But I'm willing to take that chance and keep Peyton Tolley in the organization at the moment.
And going off of that, where do you see Peyton Tolley starting 2026? Because I think that's an interesting look at this. It's obviously a very short-term look at this, but I think a lot of people can see Connolly Early slotting into the back end of the rotation last year. Like you mentioned, there's a lot that needs to be worked on for the secondary pitches for Tolley. That's kind of what happens when you start the year in Single A and end the year in the MLB postseason. Those things don't quite come along. So do you see it as a world where Peyton Tolley could be in the starting rotation at the beginning of the season, or is he working on some of these things in Worcester?
If he's in the starting rotation in spring training in April next year, I think there's a mistake made by Craig Breslow and the Red Sox. They didn't go out and do what they were supposed to do to add to this team. So he better be in AAA to start the season. That's how I kind of look at it. He doesn't have the stuff. He doesn't have the secondary stuff to be slotted in as the 4 or 5 guy at the moment. So if we're going with between the two who I want to start in the rotation next year, it'd be Connolly Early. But if I had to put one of these guys in the trade, I'd probably give up Early before Tolley.
Because we're looking beyond that. We are looking beyond April 2026 as much as I'm right there with you. I'd love to see Connolly early in this rotation at the start of the season. But if it means you're not getting Joe Ryan, that stinks. And to what you said in there, if Tolley's in this rotation, then it's a failure. Because I think the way we need to look at it from the rotation standpoint is, yeah, you need a number 2 for sure. But you probably need a number 3 or a number 4 as well. They're probably not going to retain Lucas Giolito. That's probably not the worst thing in the world. So where are you looking for another arm in the middle to back into this rotation? You looking free agency? You looking at maybe someone like a Sandy Alcantara who's still on the trade block? Where are you looking for that?
Well, I don't think the Red Sox have the trade capital to trade for 2 starters anymore.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Last season, yes, I think they had the capital, but not anymore. So I think they'll go with the route. They'll trade for a starting pitcher, and then if they go for 2 starting pitchers, they might sign one. But I think they'll probably trade for a starting pitcher and sign a bat. I think that's the way they'll go. But I'm almost rather them just go get 2 starting pitchers and make this rotation elite. I'd rather them just do that. If you think about it, the Yankees are going to bring back Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, and they're going to have 3 or 4 guys for 2 spots at the end. They're going to be elite too. Mm-hmm. The Orioles are not going to be as bad pitching wise. I think it's going to be just as competitive a division next year. Make this rotation elite. Go make a top 3 in the make 3 starters that can go out and win playoff games and you're confident with. I'd be very happy. I think that's more important than going and get the right-handed bat. So if you don't have the trade capital to trade for 2, you have to go out and spend for 1. There's a lot of names out there though that I would be okay with just going to pay for 1.
Let's look at those. It's kind of a weird free agency pool, but certainly the names at the top are starting to get thrown around here as most of the teams are done playing baseball. So where would you rank like the top 2 or 3, let's say, starting pitchers in the free agency pool this year?
Well, I'm going to skip Framber Valdez because he's going to go into his 32 season, and then he's had some controversy lately. Yeah. So maybe about a month and a half ago, he would have been higher up on this list, but at the moment, he's probably at the bottom. I'm going to go Ranger Suarez as number 1. I'm just a big fan. I know he's a lefty. His postseason, he has the lowest postseason ERA of all time. It's ridiculous that Ranger Suarez is the lowest postseason ERA of all time. And he's getting a little bit underrated with that pitching staff. He's like their 4 guy out there, and he's a stud. Dylan Cease has all the swing and a miss potential in the world. He's entering his age 30 season. He's another option to be okay with. And Michael King as well also has injury history, but his swing and miss potential is unreal. He's also from New England, so that might be a plus. But he's a little bit older, entering his age 31 season. So those are 3 arms I'd be okay with. They all will have a qualifying offer attached. So that's something you would have to talk about. If you go the trade route, Joe Ryan will not. Other options will not have a qualifying offer attached. So, yeah, I mean, maybe the Red Sox will be more okay with giving up one of these picks if they give Lucas Giolito a qualifying offer. That's another topic we could talk about. We'll see.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Because I do want to talk about Ranger Suarez for a bit, but obviously Lucas Giolito, it was a nice season overall, and you knew that there was probably a wall coming after the elbow surgery. It usually comes around 100 innings. He got past that, but definitely the last month of the season, it was pretty bad, and obviously not available for the wild card series. So is this a guy you're just not even thinking about for this team in the future?
Well, if he didn't get hurt, I think I would have definitely given him the qualifying offer. At the end, if he pitched in the playoffs, I think he would have 100% been like, I'm going to get a 2-3 year deal. Goodbye qualifying offer. But with that injury, we don't know how significant it really is. He might just snatch it up. Remember last year, Nick Pivetta, I was one that did not want to give Nick Pivetta that qualifying offer. I thought he was going to instantly snag that up and take it. He didn't work out it didn't happen. And he went up and posted a great season in San Diego for them. So maybe that happens to Lucas Giolito. I'm kind of like 50-50 on it right now. I think if they gave him the qualifying offer and then he doesn't take the qualifying offer, I think there's a better chance the Red Sox go out and pay a starting pitcher. I think they really do value that pick.
Yeah.
And if they lose Alex Bregman, they're not getting a comp pick back because they cannot give him the qualifying offer this year. So there's a lot of qualifying offer things you could think about.
Yeah. And looking at Ranger Suarez again, because that's a name that I think in most free agent classes, he really flies under the radar because of what you talked about. He's like third or fourth guy on that team. Since he's made the move from the bullpen a couple years ago, the numbers just get better every year. He's striking out more guys. He's not a big strikeout guy, but he's striking out more guys. He's walking less guys. Got a real nice hard hit rate. He's lost soft contact off of him. He hasn't necessarily been a huge workhorse yet. I don't think he's hit 160 innings, which was an anxiety you had with Garrett Crochet that obviously turned out to be just fine in year one. But do you think this is a risk of, because of the market, you're going to need to maybe overpay for Ranger Suarez a little bit, or do you just think he's that good?
Well, I think it's a very pitching heavy market. I don't know how people are going to value Ranger Suarez. I know the Red Sox and Craig Breslow have been talking about velocity in the zone. They want this velocity, and Ranger Suarez doesn't have the velocity that Michael King or Dylan Cease has, but there's just something about Ranger Suarez. He goes out there and competes. You know, he's the guy I want. He's going to post. I have no problem with him going out there in the postseason, and, you know, he's done that before. I think Ranger Suarez is a perfect 2 to 3 guy to invest in, and I don't think you'd have to give him that 7-8 year deal like you would do Max Fried last year. I think you can settle for a 6 or maybe even a 5-year deal. I don't know, but we'll see. I know it's a pitching heavy class, and then not very much after that besides those top 3 or 4 pitching arms. But yeah, we'll see. I think there's a chance you can get him on a 5 or 6 year deal and not have to go the 7 or 8 absurd years for a guy like that.
Would it be just the perfect scenario then, that like dream scenario where you trade for Joe Ryan and you do have Ranger Suarez still in the middle of that rotation when all it costs you is money?
That would be amazing if you can have those top 3 guys going into a postseason series. I know you're not guaranteed a postseason series, but if you have those top 3 going into the season and then going into a postseason series, I feel really confident with those 3. And then Brian Bayo is your 4 guy. He slots in perfectly as the 4 guy.
Yeah.
Now, if you have to trade a Conley early to get a Joe Ryan, you can worry about the 5 starter later. I'm fine with that. You have the depth to see who can win that spot in spring training. But I think you have to address the 2 spot no matter what.
Yeah. And again, with Connolly early, like we're both like what we've seen so far. You know, his pitch mixing was great, especially in that playoff game at Yankee Stadium before his defense kind of let him down a little bit. But when I look at Ranger Suarez, I'm thinking that's kind of what we want Connolly early to become. Is that a good read on it anyway?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's pretty close. If Connolly early becomes Ranger Suarez, that's like perfect. That's a great outcome for Conley Early. You know, Conley Early wasn't the highest rated pitching prospect coming into this season. The Red Sox just had all this depth and they ran out of it. So they had to go to him, and he really impressed. So I don't think Ranger Suarez was a top prospect coming into his career. You know, I think they're very similar, big changeup guys. They have like the sweeper, the left-handed. They don't throw 95 plus. They're in that 92 to 94 range. And I think they would be perfect. I think Ranger Suarez would be perfect to slot in there, the 2 or 3 role.
Wanted to ask one about Bregman real quick. You know, obviously the news still fresh that he's opting out. Not that it's a huge surprise, but you mentioned it earlier. That's got to be priority number 1 for the Red Sox with what he did before the injury and even a little bit after the injury, but also with how much he helped this team, what he brings to the clubhouse. There's not a lot of winners necessarily in that clubhouse just yet, which is not a nice thing to say, but this dude's an absolute winner. If he's gone and he's gone somewhere else in the American League, how do the Red Sox pivot that situation? Because now you got a pretty, prime infield defensive position that you've got to replace. You just let a Gold Glover go, and a right-handed bat in the middle of the order, which is something that you probably needed to improve on anyway, even if you did have Bregman on the team.
Well, what I would do, it would be something different what I think the Red Sox would do. I think Marcelo Meyer just slots into third base.
Okay.
I think that's what the Red Sox would do. Maybe they would splurge on a Pete Alonso at first base. Maybe they make up the offense that way. But I would probably not go the Joe Ryan route if Alex Bregman walks and go towards the Reds. And then I would try to get Noelvi Marte in a trade with one of their pitchers. And then I think the Reds would be more interested in a Jarren Duran or Wilyer Abreu because they need the offense. Whereas the Twins, I think, are going to go more full rebuild.
Can you put a mega package together for Cincinnati for Hunter Green? That's a name that's thrown around now.
I think it's going to be so insane if there's Hunter Green and a Noelvi Marte, where I think you have to put up like your pitcher, your Conley Early or Peyton Tolley, and then I think it's going to be Duran, and then Campbell and Meyer. Like, I think once you put Hunter Green, who's under contract until 2030, and he's only 26 years old, like he's a stud, and he throws 100. Like, this is exactly what the Red Sox are looking for, and he's right-handed. He'll match up perfectly with right behind Garrett Crochet. I think that's a little unreasonable. I think if you go maybe a Nick Lodolo and a Noel V. Marte, you might be able to get a Jaron Duran and then a prospect like Luis Perales maybe. I don't know. I don't know exactly how much they value Noel V. Marte and stuff like that, but I know they're trying to move him off of third base into right field just because they have more infielders and need outfielders. So maybe they give him up for a Jaron Duran or a Willie Abreu, and they really value one of our outfielders.
Nick Diamond's got this stuff going up on Twitter all the time. He's throwing out who the Red Sox should be looking for and why. That's what's caught my attention. I think you've got some great takes on there, Nick. Tell people how they can find you and follow along.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at @NDiamondMedia. So just didn't let me spell out Nick. It's too long, but NDiamondMedia. I'm also on TikTok at NDiamondMedia, but not as much. I'll post there maybe once a week or so if I can, if I have the time. But yeah, you guys can follow me there. I'll be posting on Twitter as much as I possibly can, though.
And it's going to be a busy offseason for him. Nick, appreciate you taking the time and keeping us briefed on what the Red Sox could possibly be looking for in this offseason. It should be a fun one.
Thanks, Cam. This was fun.
There he goes, Nick Diamond. We will continue on with the Cam Show next. Some reaction on what the Red Sox are going to be looking for in this offseason, specifically on the pitcher's mound. It's coming up next on the Cam Show.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown scorer to anytime TD props, or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code CAMSHOW. That's code CAMSHOW to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Welcome to Market XLS, your all-in-one Excel solution for investors. Designed as an enterprise-grade platform, MarketXLS caters to investment managers, secure and efficient investment management and research. Book your free demo.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops made clean, made to clean.
Hello and welcome back to the Cam Show. Here we are here. Welcome back to the Cam Show. Special thanks to Nick Diamond for that breakdown there. Very excited to see where the Red Sox go in terms of starting pitching. There's a couple of big names now in the trade market. Obviously Joe Ryan, but now Hunter Green being thrown into that mix. Very interesting. That could be the deal of the decade for the Red Sox if they're able to get that done. I mean, the deal of the decade since last year when they made the deal of the decade for Garrett Crochet. We'll definitely have some reaction to that throughout this offseason here, and we'll look some more next week about what that trade package could look like. But I do want to talk about the Bruins before we get out of here for the day. Surprising 3-1 to start the year, but tonight is where it gets really, really interesting. And I'm about to enter what could be considered rant mode here, okay? The Bruins head out west tonight for the first time in the season. It's been a surprising start, 3-1-0. Through the first week of the year, and the fan base is thinking playoffs, and I get that. Like I'm there with you to some degree. They think everyone's going to put the Bruins are going to prove everyone wrong. The Bruins are going to be back where they ought to be. Boston's first big test of the year is tonight in Vegas against the Golden Knights, and let me tell you, the Golden Knights piss me off. Not the same way it pisses off the rest of the hockey world. You know, not because of the fact that they have no state income tax and they could seemingly just buy anyone they want. Not because of the whole long-term IR thing that they and plenty of others were pulling off for years, and not because it was the worst crowd pop ever for their team winning the Stanley Cup, or the fact that they've been spoiled by going to the playoffs pretty much every year of their existence. That's not it. They piss me off because they're one of the best teams in the NHL by being everything the Bruins are not. They are bold, they're ambitious, they have the right mindset, and that whole organization is all in. They're no 1 foot in, 1 foot out Bruins kind of bullshit. And we saw it on full display from Vegas the other night, if you stayed up late enough to see it. The other night, Calgary was up 2-0 on Vegas within 12 minutes of puck drop. Calgary sucks. Okay, they're the Bruins without David Pastrnak. They're that bad. Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, and Ivan Barbashev were on the ice for the second goal. And Bruce Cassidy benched them for the rest of the first period. He benched the first line, arguably the best first line in hockey. He benched them because they weren't good enough. And then he replaced his starting goalie at the end of the period. He sent a message to his team. And he wasn't concerned by the fact that it was the second week of the season or that it was only 2-0 or that they were facing a bad team. He sent a message to his team, and it worked. Who came out in the second period and took over the game? Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel took the game over after that. He scored 2 goals, including the game winner. And the backup goalie came in and had 19 saves and pitched a shutout. And they won 4-2. This is something that would never, ever, ever happen with the Bruins. And that's what pisses me off. And I know this because we saw it. We know this because Bruce Cassidy tried this kind of discipline with the Bruins. Same coach with the same team that we're talking about over here. He tried it. But remember, Jake DeBrusk didn't like it. Oh, Bruce yells too much. He's too hard on the young guys. He gets fired, and as he's on his way out of town, they're making him out to be Mike Babcock or Mike Keenan. Turns out some teams will still respond to this to fantastic results. Year 1 away from Boston, and all they did was win the Stanley Cup. I don't think the players are unhappy. Mitch Marner came in, signed an 8-year deal. Jack Eichel extended with an 8-year deal to play for him. Has played for him for a couple of years and said, yeah, I'd like 8 more years of that. I'd like 8 more years of this organization. I don't want to go back home and play for my childhood team, the Boston Bruins. This is where it's my best chance to win long term. And look, they haven't been afraid. They have not been afraid to take the big swings, including getting Jack Eichel in there. They have understood that the best teams are being built around dynamic offensive players within a certain system. Not just bringing in big, heavy guys who can check for checking's sake. You know, everyone thinks that, Florida wins because they're tough. No, they win because they're very skilled and they're tough. It's the same thing with Vegas and to a certain degree Edmonton. Like, those teams are winning because they've got a good system and because they've got really skilled players within it. The Bruins just think it's 1990 and they want big and more big. Like, do you think the Golden Knights sit in the room in June and think, man, how can we make this team heavier? How can we become the biggest team in the league? No. They think Mitch Marner is the top free agent out there. How do we get him? And yeah, I get it. Some of it the Bruins can't control. Vegas literally has more money that they can give a player than the Bruins can. Especially one like Mitch Marner. But sending a message to your team is something they can control. They just don't want to. They want the control in the GM's box, not with the coach. That's not the problem in Vegas. That's not a problem in Vegas at all. But yeah, Bruce Cassidy, little too mean for our big bad Bruins. What surprises me too is this. That was never an issue. Cassidy's first few years in Boston. Remember, they made a Stanley Cup final in 2019. He was coach of the year. This was not a problem when Zdeno Chara was the captain. It was never, is Cassidy too hard on the players? No. It was DeBrusk and Brandon Carlo, and it was after Chara left. And I love Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand. You will not hear me complaining about those guys ever, ever. All I'm saying is the identity started to shift when Chara walked away, or the Bruins didn't extend him a contract. It's an identity that the Golden Knights now have, and the Bruins don't. Again, the Panthers have it. The Stars have it. The Hurricanes have it. The Lightning have it. Teams like the Bruins and the Leafs don't have it. So when I watch the Bruins play Vegas, I get pissed off because they're everything the Bruins could be, but decided not to be. The Bruins don't make bold moves. It's crazy to say, your Hall of Fame captain trading him at the trade deadline. That wasn't that bold a move. That's something the Bruins needed to do. They were going into the basement. They had no trade chips and they had no draft capital. That's not a bold move. Trading your second best forward for Jack Eichel before he gets experimental surgery, that's a bold move. And it's worked out beautifully. Spending all up to your cap to get Mitch Marner, the best player on the market, that's a bold move. Trading your Vezina winning goalie for Jonas Korpisalo and the worst cap hit of any backup goalie in the league is a bold move, just not in the right way at all. At all. Vegas makes the bold moves when they're presented to them, and they win a lot. And they've made Jack Eichel into one of the 10 best players in the sport as a result. And they've won a Stanley Cup as a result. And they are contenders every single year. And they might be the best team on paper this year as a result. And it's not just Jack Eichel, who's one of my favorite players in the NHL. It's not just Jack Eichel. It's not just Bruce Cassidy even. It is the entire organizational philosophy. The entire organization is moving in the right direction. The Bruins are not. And watch, as I say this, they'll probably win 5-1 tonight, the Bruins will. But it just pisses me off when I see them play teams like that. And I see Vegas led by a kid who grew up right down the friggin' street and grew up a Bruins fan. He doesn't get to free agency this year, which would be the perfect time for him to go out and get his best bag possible and potentially play for his hometown team, which he has expressed he's wanted to do in the past. But he doesn't want to that bad because he knows that this Bruins organization is not doing things right. And Vegas is. And Vegas is not afraid to call you out on your crap. They're not afraid to bench you for the last 8 minutes of a first period to make sure it wakes your ass up. You think the Bruins would ever do that? Marco Sturm would get fired tomorrow if he did that. Because their players would go and bitch to Don Sweeney, and big bad Don Sweeney would say, okay, yeah, I'll fire the coach. I do that all the time. I'll outlive any coach that coaches here ever. I don't care how many Coach of the Year awards they win. I'll fire him. Don't you worry, guys. Because Jack Eichel's going to be there forever. And Bruce Cassidy benches him without a second thought when it needs to happen. But with the Bruins, you let a coach like that go because you're catering to Jake DeBrusk and Brandon Carlo. And where the fuck are they now? Jake DeBrusk is in Vancouver. Brandon Carlo is in Toronto. And you've missed the point. You've missed the point. Vegas is not afraid to pull that shit. And certainly their players are not going to bitch to the GM and tell them how mean Bruce Cassidy is. Oh, he yelled at me. Because they're professional hockey players. And they want to win the Stanley Cup. That's why I get pissed off when the Bruins play the Golden Knights. Because they're the antithesis of the Bruins. And it has worked to their great, great advantage. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel because we come at you live on YouTube every weekday, live at high noon Eastern time, and then we're available wherever you get your podcasts as well. I'm Cam Stuart. That's why it's called The Cam Show. It is your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio, and that's why we are here 5 days a week. So like, subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on another edition of a little ditty that we like to call The Cam Show.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGoAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.